Or we are on test, yes. Levana, we are in the Yerushalmi chat, right? Yeah, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good morning. With the help of Hashem, you're learning Yerushalmi Brachas, Perek Aleph, Halacha Aleph, Daf Tes. We left off on Daf Tes, Amid Aleph, 3 lines from the top of the Amid, V'lama Hoyakoida Oisai Shlishi. We are continuing to learn the Sugya of Lashon Hara, and in Eretz Yisrael, Lashon Hara is called Lashon Telisoi, or Lashon Shlishi, and we'll have here Yerushalmi Peya Daf Tes explaining why it's called Lashon Telisoi. Really, as we will see, not only does it kill 3 categories of people, but the Gemara is going to argue that it kills 4 categories, which is the speaker, the listener meaning the one that's makabel, the subject about whom the Lashon Hara is being spoken, and the 4th that the Yerushalmi will introduce is going to be those, or the person who was able to protest and did not. In other words, he's not a listener, he's not makabel it, but he should have stopped it, and he did not. We're going to speak about the Nachash HaKadmoni. The Medrash says that the Nachash HaKadmoni, basically the approach that he had with Chava, was that God first ate from the Eitz Hadas Toivara, and that gave, so to say, God the capacity of creating. The reason why God doesn't want you to eat from the Eitz Hadas is because God does not want you to create, and that is considered Lashon Hara. And there are many lessons that we learn from what happened to the Nachash HaKadmoni b'negea to what happens to a person who's involved in Lashon Hara. The Gemara on Daf Tes will go back to the Mishnah, going away from Lashon Hara. We're going to go back to this concept that there is the principal reward, and you have the fruits of the reward. We're going to see a lot how meruba mida toiva, as an example, machshava toiva hakadosh baruch hu yes mitztarfa lemaisa, machshava ra'a ein hakadosh baruch hu mitztarfa lemaisa, as we'll explain in the Gemara, as we're going to actually bring in the Alter Rebbe's unique interpretation and how it actually, if we'll have enough time, answer certain questions that Al Pinigli we have on these chazals. We're going to learn a lot on Daf Tes about the power of tshuva. We have in Yuma, right? Yuma Daf Peivav, that whole Gedoyla tshuva, a whole sugya, Gedoyla tshuva, that Zadoinas Nasya Kishgogais, Zadoinas Nasya Kizachiyos. The Gemara there in Human Bavli says that only when you do tshuva me'ahava do you have the capacity of transforming the negative past into something actually positive. In the Yerushalmi, it sounds like we're being even more generous. We don't mention tshuva dafka mi'ahava. The Yerushalmi is going to speak about how sins are transformed. To speak it out now by the introduction, that in the Bavli, the expression, the diuk is, like we mentioned, Gedoyla tshuva shezadoinois nasis loy kezachiyos. The wording that we have in the Yerushalmi is ha'aveiroi she'asa hein nechshavin olav kezachiyos. Not nasis loy. Sounds like more like a transformation. Perhaps that's why it has to be done dafka mi ahava. Here in the Yerushalmi, that we're not differentiating how you're doing tshuva. Mashma, you can argue, but mashma that we're more liberal. Any type of tshuva already has this power. The power is nechshavin olav kizachiyos. Guys, this is going to be a huge daf. And let's just dive right in without any further ado. Again, Daf Tes, Amid Aleph, 3 lines from the top of the Amid. The Gemara is asking, V'lama koiden oisoi shlishi. That's the gersa we're going to go. And as we have both in the Marafulda from again in Bavli, the Sugya said Erchen Daf Tezvav, that Lashon Hara in Israel, in Eretz Yisrael, is called Lashon Shloisha. The Gemara there says, right, simply Shahoy Reges Shloisha. Okay, and Lashon Telisoi Ktil Telisoi. Over here, and the Yerushalmi Shahoy Shloisha. And again, Shloisha doesn't mean three. We'll see it means three categories. What are the three? The one who speaks it, and the one that the Gemara is emphasizing, it's not physically listening. If I listen to something, Shmuley, and I don't accept it, just because it went into my ears, I'm not a listener. A makabel means you listen, you took it in, you're a makabel. And v'zeshen emar olav, the person about whom it was said. You have a medrash by Yikra Rabba that speaks about the scenario where there was a woman that was, someone had a daughter-in-law that spoke a lot of Lashon Hara, and the father-in-law wanted to inspire her to stop. And he used to meet with her twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, and he would gently reproach her. What did she do? She told her husband that his father is trying to seduce her. And if you want, come and see. You'll see the way he comes over to me every morning, every evening. You'll see how he talks to me, too nice. And the son hid, and he didn't hear, but he saw the way the father Tak was approaching her gently because he wanted to be mashpia upon her. And the son went out and he killed the father. And then the Beis Din took the son and killed the son for murder. It's a medrash. And ultimately the woman got killed. That's in other words, there is a medrash that says that hoidik shloisha could even mean kepshutai. Certainly, we're going to read Sunay Hayom Yom of Yud Gimel Mar Cheshvan, where we're going to read the way the Baal Shem Tov interpreted this Chazal. First of all, killing Beruchnias is worse from one angle than being killed Begashmias. Obviously, from one angle, because as long as you are physically alive, you can always do tshuva. But let's come back over here. Now the Gemara adds, so that's what we have already. We had this in Erchen Daf Tezvav. The Gemara is adding something beautiful. That in the days of Shaul, we find out that there is a possibility that not only does it kill three categories, right? But a fourth category. Where do we find the fourth category? By doye. So to say like this, also physically, let's go with Nigla. Physically, the Gemara says in Sanhedrin Daf Kuvav that he did not even live out half of his life, aside of the fact that he lost his chelik la'olam haba. Doeg spoke Lashon Hara. What was Doeg's Lashon Hara? That David HaMelech, who was being pursued by Shaul, let's just speak about one of the stories. Remember the story? He was hiding in the cave, and Shaul came close, and he managed to cut off his tzitzis, one of the corners. He wanted to show Shaul, David HaMelech, you see, if I would have wanted to harm you, I could have killed you. I only took off, he wanted to show him that I took off your corner of your garment. So I am not trying to kill you. Stop trying to kill me. Doeg right away tells Shaul, what do you think? He came that close to you. He would have killed you. Your tzitzis got stuck in a thorn. You understand? And then he found it in the bushes, and then he's trying to convince you. He right away spoke against. Let me go furthermore. Let me go more. I'm sorry. Let me go to the better story. That was the main story. That when David HaMelech came to Noiv Ira Kohanim, and Achimelech, who was the Kohen Gadol, didn't even know that there was a conflict between Shaul and David. David HaMelech came there. He was starving. They gave him food. David HaMelech asked for a weapon. And not only that, David HaMelech had a question, and he allowed David HaMelech to ask the Urim V'Tumim. And Doeg was the one that told Shaul HaMelech that, look at them, they're siding with David. Ultimately, what happened was that Shaul HaMelech asked, that's the case over here, for both Avner, that was his chief of staff, and for Amasa to go ahead and to seek retribution in that city. They refused to carry out any retribution. That's what happened. Doeg himself led the massacre in Noiv. Now, Noiv, they killed, I think there were 85 Kohanim. They killed Achimelech. They killed men, women, and children. It was a geferlach thing that happened over there. Oh. So Doeg was the one that spoke it. That's the main Lashon Hara. that he spoke against the whole Noiv Yerakanim, and they didn't even know that Shaul has a problem with David. Shaul was mekabelit, and one of the reasons why Shaul HaMelech really took his life, committed suicide during a battle. But what led to that was the fact that he was mekabel the Lashon Hara. Achimelech, Pashat got killed, even though you can argue he was innocent, but he was the one about whom it was spoken, that in a negative way, that he gave David food, and he gave him a weapon, and he allowed him to speak to Urim v'Tumim. And here we go on Avner. That was the word. That Avner, and Avner, that's the fourth category. Yeah, he did not do anything to Noiv Yerakayanim. Not Avner, not Amasa. You would say, oh, he's good, he's the innocent. Avner could have and should have protested against Shaul's order to kill out the whole Noiv Yerakayanim. In other words, he removed himself, but there was an expectation on Avner to do a lot more. Now, Avner was killed by Yoav ben Tzeruya, as we have clearly in Nach. And one of the reasons why the Chazal hold that he was Taka Hashem, Hashgacha Pratis, allowed him to get killed, was because he was able to protest and to stop the massacre in Noiv, and he did not. Yovaldik. Because Lashon Hara was being told by Doeg to Shaul against the whole Noiv. And Shaul HaMelech reacted by telling him, you go ahead and deal with them. He says, no, I'm not going to deal with them. What he should have done is that they knew that you're enemies, and they were taka innocent. So says the Gemara, Avner, now that we mentioned it, so that's the fourth category. Avner Lomanerik. So even though that here we have the reason why Avner was killed by Yoav, but why did God allow it? Because he should have protested, and he did not. We're going to have other opinions. Avner Lomanerik was killed Begashmias by Yoav ben Tzeruya. But why did Hashem allow it to happen? Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Rabbanon, all different opinions. Rabbi Shua ben Levi Omar, Al Sha'asa Daman Shalna Adam Schayik. And as it says, Yakumu Nohana Adam v'Yisacha Kulufonenu, Vayomer Yoav Yakumu. So what happened is that Avner at this time, he was the head of the army of Shaul Shan Ishboishes. Yoav ben Tzeruya was leading David's men. They met each other on opposite sides of the river. So you have two competing generals. They decided to have their soldiers as a sport. What do you call that sport with the swords? Entertainment. There's not. It's a whole. Not gladiators that they duel with each other. When you duel with each other with a blunted weapon,
called jousting.
Jousting. They did jousting with real weapons, and each one wanted to entertain their soldiers. What happened wasn't they were jousting, people died. So they were complicit, again, not directly. They encouraged murder, mamish. That's why God made it that he was killed by Yoav ben Tzeruya. The Shlakish says, Al Shahiddim Shemai L'Shmai Shel David. Okay, this was the time. And when he wrote, and he wrote in that letter, these are the words, Min Avner le David. You can look inside that Asher Elio. In the right column, 5 lines from the bottom of the Amid, Min Avner le David, he wrote a letter, and he writes, Mi many Avner Sad Tzava le Yisrael, le David Melech Yisrael. So the fact that he wrote his name prior to David HaMelech, that's huge disrespect. That's because he was still on the side of Shaul's son. He didn't consider, even though he wrote in the letter, le David Melech Yisrael, he wrote him Shalom, but he didn't. The fact that he wrote his name prior, for that he was Chayav Mis. Rabban the Namri, and that's the one that I mentioned before. I'm sorry about Avner, not Doeg. That Al Shalei Niach L'Shol Ispais Min David. I apologize, not Doeg. Doeg is only the Noiv Yerakayanim. What happened with Avner 2 times, that when David created, or when David seized an opportunity to show to Shaul HaMelech how David is not trying to harm him, he would have actually gotten through to Shaul if not for Avner. The first one was a story of the tzitzis, like we just mentioned. In other words, just like the corner of your tzitzis, because he got that close to him, and I didn't harm you. So I don't want to harm you. Stop wanting to harm me. I'm not pursuing you. And when he made that argument before Shaul had a moment to listen, to take it in, Avner interrupted. Amalei, ma'at boyi min gulgoloi dohadei. What are you trying to prove from this corner? Besira hu aros. It was stuck in a thorn, but you got close to him. You're trying to trick Shaul. V'kivan Shabolim, that was number one. And because of that, Shaul had a suspicion. Number two was there was the other time when David circled Shaul HaMelech when they were in Midbar Tzipa, and over there David HaMelech managed to take Shaul HaMelech's spear. He managed to take Shaul HaMelech's jug of water. That's not things that can be stuck in a thorn. He told what will you say now, Avner? Gabi Kanaf Amrat, by the Kanaf of the tzitzis of Shaul, you said that Besiro hu aros. So he's asking, David HaMelech was shouting and he was saying, what chanis v'tzapachas Besiro hu aro, you think the spear and the flask was stuck in a thorn? But the emes is that even there, Avner said something, the Gemara is not recording, that put a doubt in the mind of Shaul, and he was not appeased by David. What did he tell him? I went to yeshiva. I didn't learn nach. I don't know. Something he told him. He put a doubt. So we had three. But now the Gemara is adding 1 second. The whole chiddush of our Gemara is that even though in Eretz Yisrael they called Lashon Hara, Lashon Talisoi, Ketil Talisoi. Now we're adding a fourth category. So now the Gemara is saying, you know why? You know why Avner got killed? He was in the fourth category. He did not speak it, he did not listen to it, he did not obey it, but he could have stopped it. The Al Yidei, he had the ability to protest, but he didn't protest. And I just want to read right now the Hayom Yom of Yud Gimel Mar Cheshvan, in which, and I'm reading, that the Baal Shem Tov fleck verteichen die Wörter in Yiddish. So we're going to read this in Yiddish. If you don't understand Yiddish, that's on you. As Mohad gelernt erchen und gekommen zu the Maimer Azal that we just quoted, Lashon Talisoi, Til Talisoi. So we learned the Nigla, the Baal Shem Tov teiched the different. Hat der Baal Shem Tov das Ois geteiched. Lashon Hara harget alle drei. Der Ois Trachter, der Zähler und der Zuhörer. So really what he's saying is that who are the three? The person who invented the story, the one who's speaking the story, and the listener. And what the Baal Shem Tov did, he took out the one upon whom he was spoken. Because you think about it, he's mamish innocent. Now, hold on. The person upon whom he was spoken could get killed by Gashmias. Yeah, Achimelech got killed. So the Baal Shem Tov added, that's the way I understand the Hayom Yom, Nordos is in Levushim Ruchniyim. In other words, the Baal Shem Tov excluding the person upon whom, because the Baal Shem Tov was teaching the Gemara in a Ruchniistic way. What three in your spiritual garments gets killed? The one who thought about the idea, the one who's speaking the Lashon Hara idea, and the one who's listening. And you should know that being killed by Ruchnius is more severe than being killed by Gashmias. Okay, anyways, that's the Holy Baal Shem Tov, and that's the Chazal over here. Now let's go weiter. Says in Tehillim, the sharp arrows of the mighty. And as we'll see in a moment, that Lashon Hara is not called a sword, it's called arrows. There's a big difference. A sword, you can kill, only if you're near. The koyach of an arrow, of a bullet, is that you can kill someone far away, including that the words of Lashon Hara are also comparable to Gachle de Samim. So Rosam wood, we have this many chazals. There's a type of wood that coals that are made from that wood is so potent that even when it appears that it got extinguished, it can look dormant for a long time and there's still fire inside it. So let's go. Kol klei zayin, all types of weapons can be makin only b'mekayma. Can only wound, but only wound if you're near. Zem, makin mirachoy. That's not what happens. In other words, you say something negative about someone, that other person can be far away from you. Furthermore, kol hagecholim. Once the outer part of the coal is completely extinguished, then you can know that kava mi b'fnim. But the types of coals that come from resamim wood, even when they look like they're extinguished, and they are outside, indeed, that already Sukkah's time, there was no more. That's it. He put them on Sukkahs. You know what? And he found them still burning in Pesach. So really, what we have over here is that Lashon Hara, it has an ability to go beyond Zman and beyond Makkah. What's far away is Makkah. Burning for a long time. And that's like when you say a word right now, it can hurt someone at the other end of the world. It can hurt someone in 10 years from now. Says the Gemara weiter. Like we mentioned in the intro, what the Medrash Vayikra Rabbi, what the Nachash HaKadmoni said. The Nachash HaKadmoni is the symbol of someone who speaks Lashon Hara. That Oimrim Lo Nachash. Indeed, we asked the snake, why when you walk around, when you move about, is your tongue sticking out? And since he walks on his belly, so it's like the tongue is licking the earth. So the snake responds, because my tongue is the cause for me going on my belly, because I spoke negatively. And therefore, the punishment is that I eat the dirt. I have to lick the dirt. Furthermore, other creatures, when they bite because they're hungry. The nachash stam bites. So we ask him, you're biting without getting benefit? Stama mashchis, stama amazik. Aryeh, yeah. He tears apart its prey because he wants dinner. Say, the wolf also tried of oichel. At my noyechlach. So the neck responds, indeed. And what he really says is that I am used as the instrument in the hands of God to do what God wants to do. I don't bite for me. I have no agenda. I cannot bite only because God is telling me to bite. You think a snake bites without someone whispering, which is the someone is the Oibishter. If I'm not being told by God to bite, because I think I have no benefit. It's not for me. You can say, wow, he's a shliach. No. The fact that he said Lashon Hara, forever God uses the snake as his instrument of damage, of punishment. Another lesson. Why is it that when you bite, even though you only bite one limb, but the choli vara margishim, that all of the venom goes into all of the limbs, spreads. You're asking me that question? No. That's not just on me. That's a fact. It's a phenomenon that happens to anyone that says Lashon Hara. Even Bala Lashon means the Bala Lashon Hara. That someone Shoemer Khan, you speak something over here, and it does damage over there. Damage is everywhere. It goes, I'll tell you something, that when we have the Roimi and Surya, right, that whole medrash that Hasidus quotes the whole time about the Gzeda that was Nisbatel, so you have like Roimi and Surya's, this world and the higher world. And it's Yisrael and Rome. That means you don't only affect a place that's far away, you can affect a place that's opposite this place, really far away. So it's and finally, why is it that snakes, they hang out at poison boundaries? They hang out by a fence. They hang out, they don't live on the property. They hang out between the fences. I breached the fence of the world, Gavaldik, through the Eitz Hadas, and God wants everyone to see that the Nachash that represents Lashon Hara is that which breaches all boundaries. Okay, now we're going to go back to something very exciting and positive. This was exciting and important, but to learn how not to be, now we're going to learn how yes to be. That this whole concept, that in our Mishnah, again, we had 4 examples. In the Siddur, that the Tilas Hashem, the Mishnah Braisa, we mentioned 10 plus the Talmud Torah Keneged. And not only that, when you get rewarded, none of the Keren is deducted. But you got to pay this. The whole Keren Kayemes. And then we learned 2 days ago, I think, that the Braisa mentions Zelu Umazeh. Our Mishnah gave 4. We had the other 4. I don't know if it was yesterday, 2 days ago. The opposite 4, right? Ilaroy Shvichas Damim, Avodah Zarah, and V'Lashon Hara Keneged Kulam. also Peiros and Keren. So the Gemara is going to point out that Meruba Midah Toiva. It's not exactly the same. Which is, says the Gemara, by the Schus, there is Keren and there's Peiros. Now let me tell you what the word Peiros means here. Peiros means that God doesn't only reward us, let's say, Midah, Keneged Midah, but God, because of the good that we did, will give us something beyond the good that we did. That is what we're calling Peiros. So it's not exact. It's more Mate Klapi Chesed. We get beyond what we did. And even though we found Chazal's bayasin of Keren and Peiros, it's not the same. By an Aveda, God will seek retribution b'diuk. Sometimes b'diuk will be Peiros ba'olam hazeh and ein lechelek olam haba, but never beyond. Yesh lo Keren ve'ein lo Peiros. That's the pshat over here. It's always going to be Midah Keneged Midah and not more. Haschus yesh lo Keren yesh lo Peiros. What's the source? Pasuk in Yeshayahu, Sheneman, as it says, Imru Sadik Ki Toiv. A righteous person should be praised because he's good, and then we say Ki Pri Ma'alaleyim Yechelu. That the fruit of their deeds means they're not eating up their deeds. That God gives them beyond their deeds. Aveda yesh lo keren, but the ein lo peiros. Sheneman, as it says, Oy lo rasha ra. Ki gemul yadav yasaloi. So what is God doing to him? Only gemul yadav means giving, but compensating, a punishment for that which he did, not for that beyond what he did. The problem is that if you open up that pasuk in Yeshayahu, the next line in that pasuk is, you can see this in the Torah Oyer HaShalem, the last one in the Amid, v'yoichlu mipri darko. That the wicked will eat mipri darkom. So there is peiros. So right away the Gemara says, how can that be? Mani mipri darkom. So the Gemara answers, hold on. Elo kol aveda she'asas. Pri, you know when a rasha won't only be punished for that which he did, but he's going to be punished, so to say, there'll be a peiros type of punishment. That's if what he did also affected peiros. L'mashal, sometimes people do something wrong and they inspire others to do wrong. So if their deed caused a peiros growth, then they'll get punished beyond, because it's not really beyond. But the point is, we're holding our ground that meruba midah toiva, by midah ra, v'shaloi asas pri, ein lo pri. Turning to daf tes amid beis. Pri is somehow beyond the punishment. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so that's not called pri. That's the point of the Gemara. That if what you did caused, then the punishment will be and be and be and be. Let's go back. Another example where we have meruba midah toiva, and I'm going to right away teach this the way the Alter Rebbe teaches it, because it's 6:45. But listen to me, this will answer questions, and if we'll have time, we'll mention some of them. The Chazal say machshava toiva hamokem etztarfa l'mais. The pshat is that if you have a good intention, it's considered as if you did it. The Alter Rebbe is medayik in the words mitztarfa. What does the word mitztarfa mean? He connects it. If it would have meant that a machshava, this is Tanya, if machshava toiva would have meant that God would have considered it as ki'ilu asa'a, Kadosh Baruch Hu ki'ilu machashem ki'ilu asa'a, not mitztarfa l'mais. The Alter Rebbe says like this, that every mitzvah, that's in the whole sugya, that you have the ikar ha'maisa huwa ikar, the maisa ha'mitzvahs. But then he quotes the Zajac that the kavana, in Tanya, kavana means the avan yira, they are like wings to a bird, that without the wings, the bird cannot fly. So the effect of the mitzvah, for the mitzvah to go up to the higher olam is, you have to have kavana. You have to have a machshava toiva. Machshava toiva means avan yira. What happens if one Jew does a mitzvah without any kavana? And then you have a tzaddik who has a lot of kavana, but he was unable to do the mitzvah. So you have the Jew sitting over there under Putin. If one is allowed to criticize Putin, and he's stuck in a gulag and he can't do the mitzvahs, but he has an intention, avan yira. Then you have a Jew that is eating matzah, but he's thinking about who knows what. So what does God do? HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitztarfa l'maisa. God combines the Jews together. Two Yidden are two godly souls against one animal soul. I have two animal souls. The animal does not combine. So that person's machshava is being combined with that person's ma'isa, and now parcha la'elu. So a machshava toiva. That's a good question. There's an answer. Maybe even the Alter Rebbe says it. Sometimes, why is it that we call God? Because God brings everything together. He's bringing things together. Because God is all the place, so it's all here. It's all happening. No. Machshava, God is with you in the morning. God is with God. How do you combine things if they're not together? Because they are together. Because in God they're together. Machshava teva yamarkom mitzaref l'mais. Machshava ra ein hakadosh baruch hu mitzaref l'mais. Doesn't put them together. So if one person just has a bad, according to this interpretation, it's not like machshava ra ein hakadosh baruch hu that the machshava is one bad thing. The ma'isa that's bad without bad machshava is something separate, but they're never combined together to make a worse punishment. Oh, machshava as it says, as nidbrei Hashem ish el riyeyu. And how does the pasuk continue again? You look inside the Torah Rashalim, etc., etc. Ulochoy shvei shemay, ulochoy shvei shemay, shemay. Those who contemplate, shemay means his name. Shemay means those who contemplate doing an action. Even those who contemplated that God is aware of it. Because it says, even though you see sin in my heart, God won't listen to it. God won't do anything with it because it was never done. However, this is only by a yid. It goes in the opposite direction. That what? That machshava toiva because it works because Yidden are one person. To combine, it's one person. This concept that we're all mamish one, that's only by Yidden because of the Yiddish and Neshama. The Goyim, you don't have that. On the other hand, let's go like this: that on some level, the animal soul is one. So that does combine the machshava ra hakadosh baruch hu mitzaref l'mais. Machshava toiv hakadosh baruch hu mitzaref l'mais. What's the source? As it says by Doniel, this is the irony. The irony is that the king himself, who loved him, Daryavesh was the one that threw Daniel into the fire. He did that to him. He didn't want to do it. He was tricked by his other advisors. He made a decree: no one should daven to anyone but him. That was the whole source that we learned also in brachas. We learned many hilchos tefillah from Daniel. Daniel davened 3 times a day. Daniel faced Yerushalmi. Daniel davened the open window. So what happened was the chsiv va'ad ma'olei shimsha havar mishtadel lahatzule, that Daryavesh was contemplating to rescue him, but he didn't rescue him. So his good intention is not mitzdaref l'maisa. Actually, there he threw him in. Point is that his good intention did not give him any credit. Machshava ra hakadosh baruch hu mitzdaref. And I know let me word it the way the Alter Rebbe says it. His good machshava of Daryavesh was not combined with another goy's good ma'isa. You didn't do it. If you don't have both, then we're not going to use it. Machshava ra hakadosh baruch hu mitzaref l'ma'isa. Where do we find it? A pasuk in Avadyo that mikotel mechama sochicha Yaakov. A pasuk where it says that Esav killed Yaakov. Now the truth is, v'chi haragoy. No, Esav did not kill Yaakov. Elam alamed shechashav olav lo hargoy. Esav had an intent to kill him. But hello, olav akosav kil haragoy. And actually, the way we're going to go use all the Alter Rebbe, I'll go straight to the answer. Throughout history, other people killed Yaakov. Jews are getting killed. Jews were killed today in Eretz Yisrael. Rahman al-Islam. Another terror attack. And what happened is Esav is guilty in it. Because since Esav had the kavanah to kill him, God connects that machshava to the terrorist today. So when there is an act, who is guilty? Not only the one who did it. The intention did not only come from the killer, it came from Esav. But start for Lamaisa. Mamashvitz. Let's go back. Finally, we learned in the Bryce. Rab Shimon ben Yochai. That Harei Shahaya Adam Tzadik Gomer Kol Yom. Even if a person is a completely righteous person, his entire days. But Ubachreina Marad. Bachreina Marad. Marad means, we'll see in a moment, he says, I regret the good that I did. That's what Marad means. He regrets what he did. And my time, pasuk in Yecheskel, that a b'shuv tzadik mitzit kosoi v'asa avel. What's the pasuk? B'shuv tzadik mitzid kosev asa aval kechoil hatoyevas asher asa harasha yaseh v'choy. So what happens? I'm reading the whole pasuk in Torah Rasholim. Kol tzid kosev asher asa, all of the good that he did, lo yisi zacharno, will not be mentioned because of his revolt. B'ma aloy asher malay. In other words, nothing that he did will be mentioned. So Taiches, the Gemara, hold on. Why don't we say the good that he did is good for what he'll be rewarded? At the end he rebelled, so then for that he's going to be punished. It's speaking about someone who expressed remorse for that which he did. That person will be ibed kol zechu Yosef. Another word of the Rebbe, this of the Rebbe, in one of the Rishimis. That why is it by Rabbi Elazar ben Gudayo? The tshuva at the end of his life, if I died b'tshuva, and it says in the Zajac, or says in the Arizal, that what happened is that when he came over there, that God took all of the zechuyos of Yechon and Kohen Gadol, and he inherited his Gan Eden. And the Rebbe asked, hold on, why do you need that? He did tshuva. And like we mentioned in the intro, let's quote in the Vaila Bavli Yuma Daf Pei Vavam and Beis, that if you do a real tshuva, so the sins become zechuyos. Nasan zechuyos. So why did he have to use the zechuyos of Yechon and Kohen Gadol? That was the kasha. And the Rebbe answers in the Rishima Gavaldik. He says that every mitzvah has the oid and the keli. There's oid and keli in everything. So when you say that when a person sinned, their sin becomes a mitzvah, that's the oid. That's the energy of the mitzvah gets transformed. But you need to have a keli. There has to be a keli, and that's connected to this mitzvah lamaisa. So what happened is that Yechon and Kohen Gadol was not toya al rishonis. Since he became a tzeduki, but since he was not toya al rishonis, his mitzvahs remained. So God took the oil of the tshuva Rozman was mitztarfa to the maisa of Yechon and Kohen Gadol. That's why that Rizal, I think, is the one that says, and that's how he got Chayalam Haba. Hold on, which that's the whole point. But if a person is toya al rishonos, that's the pshat. Then you undid it. Then there's nothing left. They were not the same neshama, but they were combined. They were not the same neshama. Maybe it could be. Elos ben Dodaya. I know that there's a story from the Alter Rebbe. The details I don't remember right now, where there was a Balshuva the Alter Rebbe made, and he gave him tremendous amounts of attention. He was the mathematician that had two big books, and the Alter Rebbe leafed through the books and put a fold wherever he made a math mistake. It was, and the Alter Rebbe told the son that this is the final opportunity God is giving to the neshama of Elazar ben Dordaya, that in every Gilgul, he messes it up. Exactly, he was the Gilgul. In other words, he came back as Yechanan. I forgot which one came first. If it's the one, and then in that Gilgul, he did tshuva at the end. Okay, let's go right. Says the Brais. Arei shahaya adam rashad gomor kol yom ubasoif asa tshuva. Hakadosh Baruch Hu mekabloi. Where do we see that? Weiter over there in Yecheskel. Ubeshuv rasha midishasai. So it says over there, Asher asa vayas mishpat utzedaka. Es nafsho yechaye. Amar Rabbi Yechanan v'lo yoid elo kol haveiroi she'asa hein nechshavin olav kizuchuyos. All of the mitzvahs are considered as they are merits. And my time, where do we have that? The pasuk in Tehillim that moed va'aholo is kitziyos. Moed, right, smells good, and aloe chveis is kitziyos. Kitziyos kol bigdeisecha. They are the fragrance of all of your garments. So the word beged, right? We have a lot of chassidim. What beged also means boged. That which was boged becomes a good smelling thing. The transformation. Kol averos mitzvahs. Kol begidoy shabagad tobi. All of the acts of betrayal, when a person does tshuva, become transformed. Harei hein moed va'aholos uketziyos. It becomes like moed va'aholos is aloha, and ktiyos is another good fragrance. Which is quite amazing. And again, we don't even mention the ahava. There is a transformation here. And it could be because the Yerushalmi, everything is ma'ahava. Go to Israel, everything is done out of love. I don't know. It's a whole. Everyone is on a higher level. In the Bavli, you have to make that difference between kishgogois, meira, only ma'ava. Here it sounds like tshuva stam because the Yerushalmi is on a higher level. On a higher level, all tshuva has that koyach. On a lower level, you have to have the love. Says the Gemara, guys. We have all of these concepts. This is a lot of Tanya. That ruba zachoyos umayutei averos. Trying to understand a little bit of punishment and reward and why good people suffer, even though that ein lanu, the Mishnah says, loy mishalvas hadashoyim, va'afloim b'yisoidei hatzadikim. There's a certain principle that we're trying to theoretically chap. If it's ruba zechuyois, however you measure this, and miyutei averos, so since it's only miyut, so God in His kindness is nefroi mimenu miyut averos kaloi she'asa b'olam hazeh. So a person has to undergo something is in this world that in order, that's God's kindness to settle the score of the mistakes. In order, so the olam will be perfect. Avol ruba yaveros, and if it's only miyutay zechuyos, it's not a number thing, but however that's measured, then the opposite. That's a person. That's why it looks like that many bad people have a good life. Because God has to. There's justice. The good deserves good. We're not speaking about someone who loses. He didn't lose the good. Why? However, now adds the Braisa. Now, a lot of what we're learning now, we're going to continue, God willing, next year. But let's begin. Avol, however, there's certain transgressions, which is number one, someone who completely throws off the yoke of Torah. Well, it's not someone who's makabel the Torah, but my Yetzer Hara got the better of me. I know it's wrong. A person who completely rejects the whole Torah. We'll see more. The Gemara is going to touch it more. V'hamefer bris, a person who violates the covenant. We're speaking here about the bris milah. We're going to unpackage everyone next year. And v'hamagala panim b'Torah. We'll see soon what that means. Hamagala panim b'Torah. All right. And even though we said that everyone gets reward for the ma'asim tovim, right? The question is in this world or in the next world. No. God will seek retribution in this world. And in other words, I'm reading inside the Marafulda. So we learned ruba zachoyos. What happens? The person will have a tough time here, but he'll have it good in the next phase. No, he won't get ta'ar in this world. And now, what's going to happen? We just said if someone who has ruba zachoyos, which is most of us, that's why we suffer. Most people ruba zachoyos, they're going to suffer because it's only miut, but it won't resolve it. Perhaps this is an opposite of what we learned before, that there's no paytas from this. Bryce is saying maybe there is. For certain sins, you have, in other words, it's beyond. You're getting punished and you're getting punished. Now the Gemara says, hold on. Avodah zarah and gila royes. Now there's a machlekes here. The Marafulda argues that we're mentioning dafka avodah zarah and gila royes. We're not mentioning shvichas dam and lashon hara because shvichas dam and lashon hara affects ben adam lachaveiroi. And I'm not saying that Gila Rois does not. Gila Rois sometimes does. We're speaking about a Gila Rois that does not affect Ben Adam L'Chaveiroi, and Avodah Zarah also does not affect Ben Adam L'Chaveiroi. So, well, if there was a betrayal and the betrayed party never finds out. Yeah. The Rashirilio. Yeah. So we keep it up. Back to the Rashi. Look inside the Rashi. I'll tell you right now. In Daf Ches. So it says like this: that shvichas damim hava shalom. Shvichas damim is hepech hava shalom, and gemilas chasadim is gila rois. We explained it yesterday. Okay, let's go over here. So he says like this. Let's go with the Marafulda. Avodah zarah and gila royos, since they are only in the case only ben adam l'makim, we have a question. Rabbi Yonah and Rabbi Yossi. One of them says they are part of kalois, and one of them considers them the chamurais. What's the pshat kalos and chamurais? That by chamurais, that's what we said before. Before we mentioned poidekoil, befer bris, we're going to continue. Was there certain sins that are chamurais means that you can't get full cleansing in this world. A person will have it won't be that great in this world, but it won't cleanse it. Now the Gemara wants to clarify this machlokes. Hold on, what are we talking about? And that's the key to end with something good. We're only speaking about a yid that didn't do tshuva. Ma'anan kaimin. What are we talking about? By all of these sins, chamurais, this world and in the next world, only imba oisa shoisa tshuva. If someone did tshuva, no matter for what, ein kol davar oimed b'fnei kol bali tshuva. And we're not going back to what Rabbi Yechanan says that kol haveidah she'asei nachshavim k'zachuyash. And I have the story of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Kavaranditcha that if it's true or not, these great stories that on Yom Kippur he walked by someone who was at that time not such a great keeper of mitzvahs, and he was actually violating Yom Kippur. And Rabbi Levi told him, "Do tshuva." Rabbi envy you. He saw him being machali absazamai, so he tells him, "Why do you envy me? I'm breaking." So he tells him, "No, because he called it this chazal that when you'll do tshuva, your sins will become mitzvahs. You have such great sins, so you have such great mitzvahs." So he tells Rabbi Levi, "Wait until next year, then you'll let me understand." And he still envied him. So ein called over him fnei tshuva. Ella ki anan kaimin. What was this machlokes of Rabbi and Rabbi Yossi? And really, it's what about this poidekoil me for bris bo'osim shelo yasa tshuva. And a lot more to be continued. So we're having today this concept that meruma, by good things for sure, God can never pay us back enough. God made that system because He gives us peiros in today's context. Peiros means He's giving you more than what you deserve. Why are you getting it? Because you deserve. So asarusa de la sata brings back asarusa de la ela, which is beyond. You're having a mitzvah. But why did you find something? Because you did something. You looked. You won the lottery because you bought the lottery. What you want is beyond what you want. That's by midah. There's no such a thing. But then there might be exceptions. There are certain sins that are so bad, and then we'll have to unpackage them more. God willing to be continued. Just to know that we only have one more amud of this agadata, and then we're coming back to payah. So whoever thinks that you're on an easy streak, no. It's coming with vengeance in a good way.